Hi everyone, it's your Simmer here. So welcome back to Misty Hills over here in Hobo's Hollow. So oats are growing. Everything's in good shape from yesterday when I went ahead and got my crop field going. Still, the field transfer hasn't happened yet. Nothing is showing up that requires any additional work on that field. But I've gone ahead and decided I'm going to use the time I do have today to, if nothing else, get a start on the grass work on this field that now is going to be more important given the needs of the fact that I'm going to be having cattle here in hopefully a few months. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to run around the outside edge. I think I'm going to do the whole field because I need hay and I want to basically just kind of stay ahead like I had been in Shellbrook. Oops. As far as just always having plenty of grass and that ready to go, and then I can do less urgent mowing and so forth. It's probably a good term for it. Alright, let me just set a line here. Let's see. It does get me all the way to the edge, so that'll work. I mean, at this point I'm just doing a headland, and that's so I can have a little bit more flexibility in the turnarounds and so forth as I'm working the field. So the challenge here, however, is going to be to figure out what I want to do and honestly how much hay I want. I mean, I could turn this entire field into hay and then just next time pick up with grass, because I have enough silage right now to definitely get going. I still have about over 600,000 liters, I think. I was just refilling the BGA, so the I think is coming from that. And I think there was a bit of a it was still drawing down, and I think I had enough that it wasn't going to draw it down entirely, but it's possible that I'm wrong. Alright, well, I'll go ahead and do this, and that will kind of get me a little extra grass, which is something I've certainly learned from my generational farming days. And it's interesting that if there's stuff laying there, it doesn't, the swather doesn't throw it in there, but I guess it's because it's not actually being mowed right now. So I'm sure the way that it works is you have to actually be actively mowing it for it to work with the swath dropping on the mower. And obviously, if I really wanted, I've got kind of that large separation between 25 and 26 that in theory will be mine eventually. Since I don't own it right now, I'm not going to really be able to do anything with it. But this area here is kind of what I was looking to run at least one headland. I'm going to definitely do the bottom here with another pass. But the reason there, let's see, let me look at what we have, because I probably just want to line up on the field in a way that makes sense here. I'm sure I've left a little grass, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to matter because we've got such a large field here for grass that everything will work out quite nicely. But you can see I've probably got three mower widths between the fields here that if I really wanted to maximize my output, I certainly could push that along further. Now I'm going to just start kind of following the line a little bit more maybe drift more onto the field so that I have less going into and going closer to the tree line, because part of the benefit of this is that I can start my turnaround faster. If I do 2 headlands, which I suppose I could do, the benefit is then I could just turn the mower around and not kind of create the situation, because what I don't want to do is suddenly have little crescents at the top that I need to go pick up, because then it starts to create a situation where it's like, well, now I need to windrow, you know, to do this properly. So let's see, we'll do that, because that again gets me off the edge, but not too far. But the nice thing is then I can just start piling stuff into that hayloft and kind of determining how often I want to keep doing the work here, because I think those haylofts will hold a lot, pretty much anything I want to throw in there. And I know on Shellbrook I had, you know, well over, I think I had 1.5 million liters at one point of hay in there, and that obviously kept things running for quite some time. But yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll do a full second pass, and what that will get me here is that ability to hopefully turn around and kind of avoid what I've got here when I do pickups later. So we'll run straight into this, and then I'll do this, and that will kind of create a cleaner next row to pick up. Not quite what I wanted to do, but it works. Kind of drifted too far. But I can always kind of, if I have to dance around in one area of the field, that's one thing versus doing it regularly everywhere. Obviously, as I ted this for hay, that's going to spread it everywhere, and then I am going to want a windrow to get the hay back into line. So that's where the real question becomes of, you know, just how much hay do I want to pull off the field? Because I think if I do this large section, I want to say half, but obviously the other half of the field isn't as large, but as far as the number of rows across, so where it goes to the deepest point, if I turn this all into hay, I think I'm going to have 600,000-700,000 liters at least of hay, which should be a good start, and maybe that's what I'll do, and then I'll just do the rest of the field in grass, get that all into the storage fermenting silo, and or move it into, oh no, hold on. Alright, so part of what I was doing was just spinning around there at the end too to see if in fact something that is that wide is going to give me enough room to maneuver, and it does, but I didn't want to just have either disjointed chatter going on there, or who knows what would come out of my mouth as I was doing that, trying to focus on it, you know, or mess up the turn itself. You know, there's kind of two schools of thought, because I really can't put the grass into a silo and then suddenly turn it into hay. I've got nothing that does that, because that isn't normal equipment. Like, hay has to be created on the field, so I can always do that, but the benefit is, like, if I have too much grass, which I likely will, because I only have room for about 300,000 in the silo, well, to make it, so actually I can do 900,000 to store it, because the silo isn't in the process of making anything. I'm kind of sparing you the little turnaround points there. But yeah, now that I think of it, I should be able to throw it all in the fermenting silo, turn that all into silage, because there's not a direct need for grass. So I don't have to turn around and do that with anything, because I need silage, straw, and hay and then mineral feed in a robot feeder for the dairy barn. But I think I'm definitely going to go ahead. One of the things I was debating yesterday was, do I go ahead and put in a dairy? And I may just do that pretty quickly, because I'm not going to put that in the middle of my farmyard anyway. It would probably go in that space that I was talking about at the edge of the field here, near the cow barn, so that it doesn't require a lot of hauling to take it anywhere. And the benefit there is, everything's then compact. I'm not doing a ton of travel across the map to do things. And, I have the option then of, I'm creating cheese and or butter, which should be a higher sell point. So I will have to travel across the map at that point to move that. So I'm going to have to figure out the best way to do that, because I do still have my forklift, so I can load pallets of butter and cheese. At least I think I do. Now I'm beginning to wonder again, did I bring that over or did I sell it? Well, either if I sold it, I can just as easily, obviously, purchase one, just like the possibility of having to purchase a sprayer again, because it appears I don't have that with me here. But I'm pretty sure, because I think when I moved on the farm here, I was trying to transport some things, some mineral feed and so forth, here with the forklift. So unless I'm totally not remembering things, I do have the forklift somewhere. Alright, so that gets me done with the headland. Yes, I do in fact have the forklift, so that is around. It's kind of the danger with doing 3 or 4 different things on Farming Simulator at the same time. You start to lose track of what's really happening. So at this point, I should be able to move up and down. I knew I'd have that little bit left, so at some point I'm sure I'll come back. And as I said with the forage wagon, then what that turns into is I'm going to have to run that tiny little line to pick it up. I'm looking around for the forklift. It's kind of driving me a little crazy. Maybe I left it over there. I don't know. It's obviously a tiny little thing, so I'll find it eventually, but obviously I've not been using it actively. But I am going to need it. Well, now I can get the mineral feed to the barn via the loader, getting it from the FSN silos. But that was one of the reasons that I was keeping the forklift on Shellbrook, was the thought of going ahead and having the dairy eventually. So kind of where that tedder is in that space, just looks like there's a bit of a ripple in the land, which again ends up being a problem because I'm just trying to avoid a whole lot of terraforming if I can, but this map is what it is, so obviously I'll place it somewhere. The challenge was, it was nice coming in from this side here when I had to get things to that, but I think I can still place the dairy and leave myself a run. I don't know, I'll worry about it when I'm placing the dairy. I'm like talking about something that I'm speculating, which would be a lot easier if I'm actually trying to place it and worry about it then. But then that would get me to the point where I was in Shellbrook, of kind of before we made the decision to move, where I was headed and was actively getting ready to do the next year. And then everybody had kind of said, well, Now that we've got new maps available, we're interested. Not everybody was interested in one map, so some people went their own way. A few of us stayed here, went this way, and that's where we find ourselves. But that would basically then pick up where Misty Hills was at. I'm going to get this little piece over to the left now because I know myself. I'm going to end up completely forgetting it, and then I'll have disconnected the mower, and then I'll be getting ready to pick things up and so forth, and then I'll be frustrated that I had left this here and then I won't come back and clean it up. So we do that. There we go. So like I said, it's still a nice row, and at this point, regardless of what I do, it's either going to be a nice row to just pick up, or if I do hay on this end, I'm going to have to windrow everything anyway, so then it doesn't really matter how nice the rows are. We kind of resume the intended trajectory and the strategy I had for Misty Hills going on probably 5-6 game years ago now. So it'll be nice to move in that direction. But the plan for today, mow this field, turn a good amount of it into hay, obviously put that in the hayloft, along with anything else I need to store in there, collect the rest up as grass, fill up the fermenting silo so that that is ready to go crazy, and if I fill that up, obviously then put the excess in. But I am going to go ahead and do this entire field today. So that is the work I've got ahead of me. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on that. But that gets you up to speed, keeps you posted on what's happening here. So certainly appreciate it if you could drop a like if you like this and enjoy this content and want to obviously hear more of it. Give me some comments below to let me know, what do you like to hear me talk about? I mean, the work here is kind of what the work is. It's kind of how FSN works. It's real time. I can't change the time scale. I can't do any kind of stuff like that. But, you know, always willing to hear what people are thinking. If nothing else, just what you're enjoying or the fact that you are enjoying it. Whoops. Somehow I picked up my mower there. Don't want to be doing that. There we go. And then in addition, if you'd be so kind as to go ahead and subscribe. I am kind of at that grind of trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as that next big milestone. And so certainly would love to be able to get there, get more outreach in the community, and be able to get more folks joining the conversations here and enjoy what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and I'll see you next time.